Hello and welcome, or welcome back, everybody. So today we've already done one reading, and I didn't get a chance to go through the solstice chart. I have the astrological chart drawn up here off in the wings of the recording space, and I'd like to just go through a little bit of that. And as I was shuffling the cards from today's Daily Dharma back into the deck, I ended up getting another reading. So we'll give you those cards in a moment. Let's start out with introductions. So welcome or welcome back. This is going to be another Daily Dharma today, a Daily Dharma 2. And my name's Dina with the Impressive Warrior. So thank you so much for joining. Let's take a deep breath together and sync up our energies, ready for some guidance for the day, for the coming times. As stated in a couple of other readings, at the time of this broadcast, we're moving from the 12/12 portal. Then we had the full Gemini full moon on the 15th of December. And now, in a few days from now, we're going to have the solstice gateway around December 21st. And it happens here at my local time, Eastern. It's going to be about 4:20 a.m. So the solstice gateway, it happens every year. Solstice is maximum darkness and then the return of the light. It happens on the wheel of the year, or if you want to look at the orbit of Earth around the sun at intervals on there. If you just want to get a little sciencey for me, it's kind of divided into 4 segments between the two closest times of the year are equinox, where sun and moon are balanced, so day and night are equal, equinox. And then at the extremities we have the solstices, either maximum sun or maximum darkness. And so at this time, symbolically, we're going to be looking at ways that we can reflect upon the past, things that have led up to the current timing, and look for beliefs or any type of habit that is not giving the results or no longer serves us in some manner, and look at that and prepare for release, and then look ahead at where we want to go and what we want to generate in our lives, and to start really building energy towards those new blessings that we're calling into our life. And so that's what we mean by the return of the light. Symbolically, it's literally the sun is going to be having longer days and longer days from following the winter solstice all the way through to equinox, where they're equal, and then it's more and more and more until maximum light, and then return to the darkness. So at the time of the solstice, this is where in the winter solstice that the sun goes into Capricorn. So we've got the Capricorn sun at about 0 degrees at about 4:20 a.m. here. And the moon now has moved over into Virgo. It's going to be right around the time of the perfection of the sun pushing through. It's going to be somewhere around the 18th through the 20th degree of Virgo. So we've got an earthly element there with the moon. So the emotions will feel more grounded, but also that's a mutable sign. And so it can be also a bit changeable. So changeable earth there, where the sun moving into Capricorn, that's cardinal earth. But both of them being earth signs, lends a lot of foundation to whatever we're experiencing in this time. So some other key takeaways that I'm looking at in the chart are, I've mentioned this in another broadcast, but at the time of the solstice, we've got Jupiter retrograde at 14 degrees, 31 minutes approximately of Gemini. Again, that was where we just had that full moon. And so the moon was there and Jupiter is continuing to backtrack. When we had Moon in Gemini and retrograding Jupiter all in that sign, it gave a lot of weight to our moon space, the subliminal things that are trying to work their way out. It could make us very emotional over the last few days moving through this time frame, but I think more than anything, we might overlook the emotional aspect of something and have a list of complaints, grievances, or so on. So to be constructive with those things instead of just complaining, how can we take those things and look into the self for, like if we're like, oh, this guy is always so lazy and I'm always working so hard, then for instance, we can trace that back to say, maybe we are working a little bit too hard and maybe we're really longing for a break. Maybe we need to give ourselves permission to take a break. Uh, in other ways, sometimes we can be like, oh, well, this person doesn't choose the difficult decisions like I have. They have it easier than me. Excuse me. I've had these throat issues ongoing during the broadcast. Let me clear my throat. All right. So Jupiter there again it's bringing some type of abundant focus. It's expanding something there, and it previously had the moon going through there, so it was expanding our whatever was below the surface needing to show itself to us. So whenever we're having something below the surface that needs to come to our attention, the full moon generally brings those things out. And so then the aftermath of that, whatever we're kind of talking about, if we think that somebody else has it easier or that they're luckier, then we might be in that comparison space. And so looking at that mirror energy, then instead of comparing and judging, the mind can hopefully get to the bottom of what it says about the process that wants to be made or brought into our awareness. And so between the time of the solstice on the 21st of December and then it comes exact on the 23rd of December, Jupiter will move finally back to the degree about 14. I may have to restart this video. My apologies for the voice thing. 14 degrees 11 minutes of Gemini. When Jupiter hits that degree, it will be opposite the great attractor over in the Sagittarian area of the skies. Great attractor brings in a great amount of magnetism. And so with Jupiter being opposite, Jupiter is like I want to say like bellows. Do you know what bellows are? Those little wooden things that suck in air and then push it out to blow poofs of air into the fire. The bellows is what they call those. That's what I'm kind of seeing. It's like Jupiter is opening up the bellows. So it's kind of like this, huh? And then it's like, whew, into the great attractor. And so it's like we are being brought to our attention so that we can manifest with great intention and great integrity, and so that we can say the things that need to be said, do the things that need to be said, make the plans, make the choices that are going to help us move away from what we're leaving behind and what we're moving into between solstice and then we'll have a bunch more gateways going forward. They're always ongoing. All these various little star portals, so to speak, are just opportunities for us to practice and practice and practice until we're ready to jump timelines or leap from this small shallow waters of one pond into the bigger, deeper, vaster oceans and seas that are lying in ahead of us. So all the new adventures and experiences that we're wanting. So what I have written down here under the Jupiter area of the sky, we've got this is it returning. So because it's going retrograde, that means that it's already come through this part of the sky and it's coming back. And I did not look to see where it originally went through that 14th degree. It was in the fall sometime. I'm going to say it was in August. No? Leading into the beginning of August, so just prior to the Lionsgate portal, we had Jupiter right about the 14-11 degree between the 30th and the 31st of July. So the decisions that you were making for your life at that time were related to your sacred fire, your inspiration, and perhaps so some need for taking charge of something, expressing something foundational to who you are. And so all of those changes is like, then you made that change and now it's coming back, and we're kind of re-looking at all of the data, um, all of the things that have happened and transpired since then because of that, how we're adjusting to the changes we've made, and if there's any buyer's remorse or fear, and where there are unexpected little nuances or things that we need extra support or extra attention brought to be able to be successful, as Jupiter then will finally be going back direct. And then if I had the ephemeris here in front of me, I'd tell you when Jupiter's going to be going by that degree the third and final time in its forward movement. um, we'll get to that in a future broadcast. So this is a return on that decision from late summer, and now we're looking forward at, okay, so now what's the plan, what's going to be the thing that gets focused on coming forward. There's something that we want to express, or someone or something that we want to effect, or some type of change that we were looking to invoke and manifest in our lives because of the changes that we found necessary to make at the Lionsgate, because the Lionsgate portal is all about sovereignty in great measure, and also authority and leadership potentials in our lives, and being able to be creative. I'm hearing creative connoisseurs, uh, but creative people uh, and beings in our creationist expression. So there's also this Dan Winter thing that keeps coming up recently about compassion, and through the lessons and the choices and all of this sometimes chaotic and other times beautiful flowing energy that challenges and inspires us from day to day. It's like how we choose for ourselves and then continue to move forward and to possibly even strategize and move through the waters of life, is then how we are embedding our legacy and making impact on the environment. And so the coming solstice gateway in this time right here is very much having to do with how we create impact, and in that way, how we are changing the world through the interactions that we make, and that the choices that we make, and the opportunities that we do and don't take. So this is how we're working in a newly evolved, unprecedented manner with our own personal law of attraction, and also looking at how our personal law of attraction and magnetism and effectiveness actually finds its niche and expression within our greater groups: family, friends, social groups, communities, nations, governments, world, and so on. And so we're looking at that, ourselves in the mirror and them within the self here, and having this expansive awareness of how to manifest basically everything that we are looking to bring in. And so this great law of attractor thing here with Jupiter is huge. And then we have Jupiter is actually almost square to Saturn. Saturn's at 13 degrees 47 minutes of Pisces. And so Saturn actually works really well in this case because Saturn wants to create foundations and create some type of protocols and obey the rules and have integrity. It wants um, to provide and protect and to create continuance or legacy or progeny, to create visions and to grow and advance and thrive in some ways, but it does so through somewhat attempts at control and through assessing the resources and putting them into their proper place. It's a good ordering element, and it's in the spiritual psychic sign of Pisces, which is kind of a bit formless and more suggested in the realms of Pisces. And so it's really working on our psychic waters and how the foundational thoughts and how our predominant thoughts and beliefs and resonant vibrational frequencies are setting the tone. It's like hitting a pitchfork, or not a pitchfork, a tuning fork, and then or one of those pitch things when you start to sing and they're like, and then everybody knows ba is their first note. It's like we're understanding these nuances of how our psychic waters are being cleansed, and thus the manifestation and the attraction patterns are working with this. And so there's this learning narrative, learning perspectives happening here. So we've got so much more. We've got Venus is, well, not Venus. Let's go back. Ceres, whatever, the grain goddess, somewhat a co-ruler perhaps of Virgo, where the moon is at. It's over right close up and personal with Pluto, who I do believe was the one who abducted Ceres' daughter Persephone. And so Pluto is still at 0 degrees in Aquarius, 044, and then we have Ceres at 455. And opposite from Ceres in her little situationship here with Pluto, I feel like she is and has been moving away from Pluto, moving away from what has unfairly pigeonholed or cornered her or held her caged. And Pluto is going to have to figure that out for himself. And so we can find ourselves leaving behind different toxic relationships with bosses, people, place, things, exes. And, as Ceres leaves this in the dust, so to speak, then Pluto is left to figure this out in a very, very ruminating way. And Ceres is moving along directly opposite from Ceres in Leo here. We've got at 4 degrees and 49 minutes approximately, which is close to 444. We have Mars going retrograde. So Mars opposite from Ceres doing this talks about maybe somewhat of a sachet or of a see I got better things to do kind of sassy attitude type of a thing that's coming forward. And I don't think it needs to be at someone else's expense. I would say that it is understanding again about those psychic waters, how then Ceres and Mars are working together to be the protector and provider of our own situations, to um, outgrow what habits and patterns we need to release in order to have the new beginnings that we are so overly prepared for, I want to say. And so we've been working on it, we've been preparing for it, we've been prepared. And so Mars is again still going retrograde. So before we get any real momentum or traction in the directions that we wish to travel, there's a bit more integration on the ego levels. And we may have already learned the lessons, but have we engaged the renewed habits, the healthier habits? Like perhaps you've stopped drinking soda or pop or whatever you call it, uh, but you haven't started increasing your hydrating water. Um, that's kind of what we're talking about here. So it's like, even if you leave behind toxicity, if you continue to hold the resentments and unforgiveness, then you haven't left it behind at all. You're just stretching this rubber band, and it's becoming tighter and taunter, and it's possibly going to snap. You need to release that in order to make your momentum forward. So as we're integrating, we're practicing new behaviors, new approaches. So perhaps your attraction patterns have a lot to do with this as well. So Venus is over there, not far ahead of Ceres at the, is that, my writing is a bit small, 13 or 15-ish degrees of Aquarius. So mid sign, I think that's 15. And so, in the sign of Aquarius, Venus, the feminine aspect of us, wants to be progressive, wants to be detached from any type of this old drama and animosity, and it wants to create solutions. It wants to have its own sovereignty, its own independence, its own free thinking. It wants to have autonomy and individuality. And so I'm feeling very much like many of us are outgrowing any type of little nuances of the old codependency attachment paradigms and narratives that we have been conditioned in our societies and families, to kind of keep in motion. It's like it's no longer working, it's been unlearned, and now we are relearning healthier habits. And so Saturn is helping us to be our own protector and provider, and to get to work in the proper directions, in balanced measure, and not overdoing things and not over speaking, overstating, and correcting things in the moment when you feel like there's been a deviation, not making it something that needs to be a drama or a conflict, but speaking it out in an adult manner. We're growing and maturing in a very powerful way through this portal. All of us have emotional, psychological, and spiritual lessons that we're transcending and all the time. And so this is partly the main crux, actually, not partly at all, directly related to our ability to manifest. And so over there, right by the great attractor in Sagittarius, we also had, at the time of the full moon in Gemini, we had Mercury in Sag stationing and turning direct. And Mercury will have made it to 8 degrees 28 minutes, starting to pick up pace here. And Mercury will be in short order within probably, what's that, another week or two. We'll be crossing over that great attractor as well, where we start to really speak things into form, and we start to make the plans and make the headway and have the important discussions that will help us to resolve and release, making new sacred contracts with self, having rituals for yourself, writing intentions for the new year. uh, New Year isn't always the best to expect great change. It's much easier to create great change when you have energy in one of the cardinal signs, like we just talked about having cardinal sun in Capricorn. So currently, in invoking some changes is going to be better than waiting for the first of the year necessarily, but also Aries energy, great for starting things out. So don't become disillusioned if you don't hit it out of the park on your first swing. You know, you might need to strike out the first time around, or maybe you hit it on the second. Maybe you get a foul ball on the first one. I don't know why I'm in baseball. I don't even like baseball. Got a baseball fan here. Um, Anyways, let's look at anything else. We've got, of course, Uranus has been finishing up in Taurus for some time. It's still retrograding now at about 2357 there. And so it's still in conjunct with Vesta, which is at 2443 Libra. Vesta is all about that inner sacred fire, the inner light that is like if everything else fell away, who are we at the end of the day when we look in the mirror? And it's sometimes obscured and hidden below all of our concerns, doubts, or fears about who and what we are, what we should or shouldn't be fearful or guilty or ashamed about, or what somebody else should be judged for or us, and back and forth type of stuff. It's hidden under all of that is this sacred center. And so there's a great initiation happening now, and it was coming through as though something to do, like in my experience when I was attuned to Reiki, it's like then I went forward years later and was teaching Reiki. And so one of the things that came up in conversation last night with my other Reiki master friend, we were talking about how it's not about doubting yourself and if you're good or bad at it. Reiki isn't us. Reiki is us getting out of the way and being an open, clear, and perfect receiver of divine love and light energy. And if we could only learn to fill our cup with the divine love in the moment, the unconditional love that is always there, omnipresent, omnipotent, even all knowing in our lives, when we can fill ourselves with that, then we are the Reiki. It is filled inside of us, and then it can overflow through our hands. So we're not giving people our energy. We're not doing it. We're just opening and sharing that energy with another individual. And that's kind of the way that we're being shown symbolically how we need to get out of our own way when things are trying to work through us, or when other people are trying to maybe help us or something like that. So there's this with Uranus in Taurus, it's about the way that beauty and abundance is actually true and held when we hold space for love and abundance and the light, the inner temple within the self. When it's in the body, then we are moving that law of attraction in the proper way. But we're being told that there are other things taking up precious cargo space. It's like when you pack for a vacation, you can't actually take your refrigerator with you because it doesn't fit in the overhead compartment. So you got to choose which things you're going to take. And that's kind of the way that we're being told about how we hold our past, our present, our future, our fears, doubts, anxieties, or our courage despite our fears, and our willingness to choose, and our willingness and our sense of curiosity and adventure when we want and need and desire to pick ourselves back up again and just keep swinging and keep swinging. I'm seeing the Signs movie where he tells the brother, keep swinging. Oh, it was longer story. Don't have time today. So this is the end of the video, but I wanted to say also that with Uranus and Vesta in conjunct there, then the adjacent houses just behind that, Aries, and just beyond Libra in Scorpio, we have another in conjunct, and the two form like dotted lines that are parallel, and it looks like a lane, it looks like a road, a pathway. And Chiron and Juno are the players in the adjacent houses. Retrograde Chiron is no doubt at the degree of the April solar eclipse from earlier 2024, and it's staying there, wafting around in the area of who am I, and self-defining, self-mastery, self-actualization. What is it that we are looking to do in our future? And it's connected again in conjunct, needing some type of adjustment with Juno. Jupiter, Zeus's wife, Juno or Hera, over there in deep Scorpio waters, is talking about how do we partner with other people? Are we partnering based on our wounded nature, on our unhealed codependency, attachment, addiction energies, and our need for validation or control, or some type of material evidence of somebody's love, whatever it might be. Staying in our lane here talks about how this new approach needs to be shaking loose what doesn't serve in a whole new way, to give us the courage to step through fear in a whole new way through this initiation process. We're like walking down this road. This is what I'm seeing here right at the end of the movie. The crossing here is the initiation, and we're walking directly into the sweat lodge here where we can release something. So it may get a little hot in here. The heart home, it looks like a hearth, like the warm fires of family, and we need to figure out how to be more unconditional with our love, as long as it's not toxic. And here we have the staff. I even to the reading, I brought the staff that my grandfather made for my mother earlier today. There's something about taking up our own authority in this manner to make it through the portal. It's like, it looks like a brick wall, but the window is there, and we can, when the doors are locked shut and there's a fire on the other side, we got to go out the window. And here we go. So we've also got, running out of time, it's a very earthly knowledge that's stepping forward from the heart of the sky to be birthed here on earth with Pachamama. It's a huge situation that we're overcoming, perhaps from our past,